Hey everybody, it's Book of Katherine, and we are back for 2020 primaries. It is kind of a big deal. A lot has happened since 2018, and we did clean the GOP. Now we're doing clean the GOP and clean the DNC. So I know that when you look at primaries online, everything's going to be like presidential primaries. It's going to be like presidential primaries for the Democrats. That's what you're going to hear the most about. Then there's going to be some things about the presidential primaries for the Republican race, especially since the GOP has done some very clever tactics to get around the primaries of their candidates. For example, Lindsey Graham's state, in order to get you to avoid voting out Lindsey Graham, they actually deleted the primary for the presidential candidate. Because when the presidential primary happens, then a ton of people come, like a huge flood of people come. And so in a presidential year, it's enormous year. It's way more than any year that it's not a presidential year. And so there's a ton of people coming. And so even though it's kind of funny because the GOP is just a never Trump party. And so it's their opportunity to have somebody who wants to run it. There's actually people in those states saying, I want to run against Trump. And instead of actually having them run, even though Trump keeps restoring rights to everybody, and the right to vote is kind of a big one, the GOP in these big states like Arizona and like Lindsey Graham's state and all these states, they're actually deleting these presidential primaries, not their primaries where they're running, but just the presidential primary. And what that does is people are like, well, I don't need to go to the primary because Donald Trump's already in. And they don't think, well, there's already another big primary that I really need to go to. And so just be aware of that. So there's a really big story about how, this whole thing's happened with the presidential primary for the Republicans, and it makes it sound like Trump's taken over the Republican Party when we clearly know they haven't. It's been 4 years and none of his bills have gotten through Congress. Everything that's gotten through has been by executive order. There's very few bills that's actually gotten through. And we've gone through that, like how they fooled us. Like they didn't get Obamacare through. They got like one tax bill through, and that's it. They've got like a Music Modernization Act. They didn't get through the wall funding. Everything he's done, he's had to do through executive order. So, hello? You want to say hi, Tiberius? You want to say hi? You want to play? You want to say hi to everybody? Hello. Can you guys see him? Can you see his nose? You can just see his nose. You want to come in? Okay, anyway. So that's what's going on. So we need to do something for, and obviously you don't have to be a Trump fan or anything, but it is imperative that we get people in who's actually supporting our rights, who actually believes in freedom of religion and freedom of speech. And it would be nice, there are some bills coming up that Trump is supporting that you might like, which is lowering healthcare costs, like taking our medication down from 50%. For example, New Zealand has it down where most medications are $5. Now, there was a time in this country where most medicine was actually $5. I know that's shocking to hear, but there was a time where things were actually all $3 or $5 and everything like that. And that's before Agenda 21 happened and BASF became in control and their profits just went sky high. So that's the thing, is that bills like that to bring things back down to $5 are being proposed. So whether it's on the DNC or on the RNC side, support people that, maybe want to go ahead and say they want to do that bill, whether they're a Trump fan or not, but support, freedom of religion and freedom of speech and the Constitution, at least the top 10 Bill of Rights. And because all those will go and out anything anti-climate change, basically climate change. We've gone through that, what climate change actually is. Hold on. Okay, so when they say climate change, they're talking about this. This is the global goals. They say our world and our future are under threat from persistent poverty, inequality, and the climate crisis, right? So that's what they're saying. This is the climate change agenda. This is the climate crisis. And they say, so these are the things we want. We want you to do these goals. The global goals for sustainable development are a historic plan adopted at the UN in 2015 to tackle these world problems. 193, including yours, have committed to achieve them by 2030. That's not actually true, by the way. That's actually not true. But that's what you saw in Paris, the big Paris Agreement where they all got together. Well, it actually turned out that when it was actually ratified 6 months later in December, only 55 countries actually ratified it. 193 countries got together and agreed, took a picture, but by December, only 55 ratified it. So that's why China can still dump 200 million tons into the ocean, and China and Japan can do it, and India can do it. You know, they can show up and take a picture. Photo ops are one thing. Actually signing the dotted line, totally different. And those 55 countries that have to sign the dotted line, you know, they're part of the Commonwealth. They kind of don't have a choice. They're kind of monarchs. Make them, you know, don't have a choice. So, all right, global goals for sustainable development. So then these are their global goals. So when they talk about climate change, these are the things that they mean, and they have goals in all of these ways. They have for poverty, hunger, healthcare, quality education, things for land, for life, for peace and justice. And then if you go through these things, I didn't mention what they were before, but what those goals are, when they say, oh, we're for climate change, that means their goal is, for example, underneath poverty. They say, well, our goal for poverty is that everyone's above the poverty line by the year 2030. And then you say, well, you click on it and you say, well, everyone's above extreme poverty. Everyone is out of extreme poverty by 2030. And then you click on it again and it says, well, what does extreme poverty mean? Well, we define extreme, the United Nations of 2015, it defines extreme poverty by $1.90 a day. So their global goal of getting everyone out of poverty is to get everyone out of $1.90 a day. Which really means that back in the 1990s when they started this whole thing, when the first conference was in Berlin, the majority of the world was out of this. The majority of the world was making more than $1.90 a day. So they've actually shifted the world down within 10 years of this. And they were able to say, oh, we're reaching poverty goals because we set it at $1.90 a day. They moved a sixth of the world into slums. But they call slums just like resident housing or like, you know, temporary housing. They have a nice little name for it. The UN has it. So they have all these fancy words of saying like getting everyone to fund this anti-poverty movement, but we click into it, $1.90 a day is actually what they pay. That's how much it costs to house an inmate at the Zhangjiang prison in China, the prison labor camp there. So those people doing HP parts for IBM and for HP, for Warren Buffett and for the Queen of England, who are sorting out those little diodes on a little mat, rubber mat for everyone in Taiwan, you know, because they're in chains and they're in chains and they have to do that for 12 hours a day, 20 hours a day, and they have to sleep underneath and they have to stand up on punishment and they are barfing into things and they walk in limps because they've been sitting for so long on a bench. They actually are all injured from it, just like in the Nazi concentration camps, because, you know, China's National Socialism, same thing. You know, so same companies run it too. You do know that. Like the same companies who benefit off of this program, BASF and Bayer, they're the same ones that had the idea for the Nazi concentration camps. They're the ones who started Auschwitz. You can find it. It's all in the Nuremberg trials. You know, just look it up, IG Farben. That's the coalition they were. So that's when, you know, when I say they're all sitting out there wearing white power shirts and the Democrats and the things, you know, they're all wearing white in Congress in the State of the Union. I'm like, well, at least they're being honest about their white power. You know, their first world flag was all the colors of the world flag, all the colors of the peace flag. They had all the colors. They had a rainbow flag, and every color was supposed to represent a color of the world. And then it had all of the colors of the world going down into one color. It said, oh, they blended to color one band, the color white. And they united under the white band. And so you take the color of the flags, the guy who created it, and write it around Europe and say, see all the colors of the world under a white Europe. That was peace. And that's why the UN adopted it. Great world peace flag. The colors of the world underneath the white right of Germany. Just like the Prussian Empire wanted, since they chased Pope out of Rome way back King Henry VIII. So anyway, good distraction techniques. Anyway, so we've got a lot of work to do in Congress. It's primaries. It's primaries 2020. Let's go ahead and go through the dates. All 50 states, 10 minutes in. I hope you guys don't mind this little intro. Let's do it. Hold on. So as you can see, like if you go through it, you'll notice that all the GOP people talk about sustainability and climate change. All the GOP people do. You look through and they'll all be like, oh, we want climate change. Oh, we love green. We love climate change. They're all for the exact same things here. They all say it. They all want environmentalism. You go online, you want Made in America, and they're just like, environmentalism. And you're like, You know, that just means it's all German products that you're using. Thanks a lot. Like, that doesn't actually help the environment. When you use the stuff that they sell through this stuff, you actually make the earth blacker. Like, those are the companies that pollute the earth. If you really want to be clean about the earth, avoid environmental products like crazy. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Anyway, okay, so it's been a fun year. All right. So much has changed in 2 years. So much has changed. I'm walking. I drove yesterday. Wonderful. I did leg lifts off of a thing. I mean, so much has changed. I've lost weight, and I might even be starting new things. I don't know. I might be starting a new branch of life. I wrote a book. So much has happened since Clean the GOP 2018. Now we're doing Clean the DNC. Primaries 2020 should be really, really fun. So here we go. So I'll read the presidential primaries second because those are different dates in a lot of cases. Well, I guess I'll read them at the same time. So, all right, here's the deal. Alabama, and I'm going to go in alphabetical order. All right, here we go. So Alabama, you're March 3rd. A lot of the earliest things that are coming, it's going to be March. So everyone needs to register now. That is something they're all doing. Like, I've seen that some voter registration dates were last year. They're cutting them off super early. So it may say March. You need to register now. And if you're planning on running, you need to register now. They've already had cutoff dates. Like in Kentucky, January 21st was a cutoff date. So like get registered. It's your right to run. Like I don't think I think you can sue and get your butt on in. I don't think, there's ways you can fight. Be a fighter. The American revolutionaries were fighting. Get on in. So Alabama, it has an asterisk for some reason. I don't know what these asterisks are supposed to mean. No primary for state legislative seats in 2020. How is that possible? Alabama's not holding any primary dates. They're not holding any primaries in 2020. Who doesn't hold primaries for their state? They have people. Everybody has people. You don't just wipe out your primaries. Why is everyone canceling primaries? This is the most undemocratic thing you can do. I'm just going to read it, and then you can go ahead and file complaints with your things. There's a bunch of these people that are marked like we're not going to have primaries. So Alabama, your dates are March 3rd, and the runoff's March 31st. This presidential is March 3rd primary. They're saying there are no state runoffs. That makes no sense. But Alaska, August 18th, that's your state. So Arizona, August 4th. Arkansas, March 3rd. And then the runoffs, March 31st. California, March 3rd. Mark your calendars, California. Colorado, June 30th. Connecticut, August 11th. Delaware, September 15th. This is all, I'm just going to run the state. I'm so sorry that I'm doing this all over the place. There's state and presidential. I'm going back and forth. I'm going to read off your state first, and then I'll read off presidential. Because it looks like there's two separate dates in a lot of these cases, and they do that on purpose. And you can decide for yourself, listen to presidential depending on who you want to vote for and all of this kind of thing. So here we go. So state primaries, Alabama has an asterisk, says there aren't any. March 3rd, March 31st, look into it. Alaska, your state primary is August 18th. Arizona, August 4th. Arkansas, March 3rd is the first primary, then a runoff, if there's going to be a runoff, March 31st. California, March 3rd. Colorado, June 30th. Connecticut, August 11th. Delaware, September 15th. Way late in the year, Delaware, September 15th. DC, no district specific. No, that's because they don't vote. They don't get one. They have enough power as it is. You get, every time you enter into a cab there now, they have a mandatory video that plays. And the District of Columbia mayor sits there and talks to you about bills that are on the case docket. And then she's like, and by the way, we deserve a representative in Congress. And I'm like, you just sat there and influenced my vote. You're influencing every vote of every city, and you want more power? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you crazy? As if we'd ever give you more power. There's a reason they didn't give you power in the first place. You gotta be joking. No. And then she uses it even more by lobbying you in your cab? That was rude and corrupt. Anyway, Florida, August 18th. Georgia, May 19th. The runoff is July 21st. That's a huge space between runoffs. Hawaii, August 8th. Idaho, May 19th. Illinois, March 17th. Indiana, May 5th. Iowa, June 2nd. Kansas, Iowa, June 2nd. Get rid of Grassley, please. Kansas, August 4th. Kentucky, May 19th. Boom, out of there. Out of there. We've got so many people to clean out in Kentucky. Oh my gosh. Rand Paul, who voted against, it doesn't matter where you stand, Democrat or thing, but he voted more against Trump than Dianne Feinstein. So, like, that should offend Democrats that Rand Paul did that. Like, it's really, really, it's scary, this stuff. And he wears blue to, like, Republican rallies. Notice how often Republicans wear blue to their rallies. It's fascinating to me. They don't wear red. They're not popping for their party at all. Fascinating to me. They don't wear USA pins or hats. Nope. So, Iowa, Indiana, I don't remember where I was. So, I was just screaming at Kentucky, right? All right, May 19th. Louisiana, November 3rd. They say there's no elections this year, which makes no sense, especially since Louisiana clearly has a big voice. November 3rd, December 5th. Their runoff is December 5th. Maine is June 9th. Yeah, they had a really, really big thing in 2018, so why wouldn't they have anything this year? That doesn't make sense. Maine, you should really look into that, Louisiana. Maine, you have one June 9th. Maryland, April 28th. Massachusetts, September 1st. They always have weird dates. I think Massachusetts moves stuff around. If I remember correctly, I saw some stuff. Michigan, August 4th. Minnesota, August 11th. August is a huge month for the states. Mississippi, your first one's March 10th. Then March 31st, you follow it up. Missouri, August 4th. Montana, June 2nd. Nebraska, May 12th. Nevada, June 9th. Sorry, I'm starting to get really big pain here. New Hampshire, September 8th. New Jersey says you're not having one. Don't know why. No, the guy did a huge, you must be having one because he did a huge push to get your info. It says June 2nd. You have to be having one because he did he got 175,000 of your names. So there must be a reason he did that for New Jersey. New Mexico, June 2nd. New York, June 23rd. North Carolina has 2 stars. A second primary may be held on either May 12th or April 21st in certain circumstances. So you need to look into it. North Carolina has a March 3rd one, and then it may have another primary on May 12th or April 21st. Well, that's a big difference. North Carolina, I'd look into it since Fort Bragg seems to be the place they keep sending everyone from to go anywhere in the world. North Dakota, June 9th. Ohio, March 17th. Oklahoma, first one's June 30th. A runoff would happen August 25th. Oregon, May 19th. Pennsylvania, April 28th. Rhode Island, September 8th. South Carolina, June 9th, followed by June 23rd. Oh, one that actually makes sense. All right, South Carolina, June 29th. That's Mr. Lindsey Graham. You need to get him gone. Where's Ohio? March 17th. Get that little weasel out. Ooh, that little weasel who just sits there, prayer breakfast, man. Oh, I just happen to get in politics. I don't know why I took that class that trains you for politics. I was just a football player. I just sat in the back. Oh my gosh. Like these lying GOP guys, they're almost worse than Democrats because at least Democrats are honest. But the GOP are even worse. They play like they're good schoolboys and then they are not. Like they go around and they get to be, everyone just thinks they're the most lovingest. And then you go see their votes and you're like, you evil SOBs for just lying to your constituents. So Ohio, you need to get those guys out. But congratulations on the legislators or whoever. They're passing some good things. Ohio had its best economic year in its history. Congratulations. So Oklahoma, June 30th and August 25th. Oregon, May 19th. Pennsylvania, what the heck's up with their mayor outlawing school choice and then making sanctuary city policies. I'm like, what the heck's going on in Pennsylvania? But you do have the Liberty Bell and you do have, Olaf Ribbon? You do have manufacturing there. I don't really understand it. April 28th. Rhode Island, September 8th. South Carolina, June 9th and June 23rd. South Dakota, June 2nd and August 11th. Love South Dakota. Tennessee, August 6th. Texas, March 3rd, May 26th. May I ask what in the mother of the mother is happening in Texas? I know they've been moving in Democrats at this astronomical pace to Texas, but does that mean you guys are stupid enough to put in a 10% tax? Are you you guys are California now. Texas is California. Texas is California. Texas is California. Texas is California. A 10% tax, Texas? 10%. You're at 9 point something percent. That's ludicrous. That's corrupt. You don't need 10% tax at all on any kind of sales tax. Honestly, all that you guys really need to run a state is like 3% sales tax. You know it. You know it. You know that, Texas, even with a border there. And now you can't even claim the border because border crossings are 75% down. So what's your excuse now? Why do you have 10%? What the heck are you doing to your people? What kind of free state? I know the UN is shoving stuff down on you, but you don't have to take it. What kind of corrupt politicians do you have? Ugh. What the heck is going on, Texas? You just take it? You just like it because they're cool and hip and you're like, oh, you know, Austin's weird. We're weird in Austin, so we'll take in the weird people and we'll put in what kind of community. We'll put it in. They have SXSW here, and so we'll put in all their climate change things. It's the climate change thing. They bring in climate change here, so we'll just put in socialism in Texas. Woohoo! Screw the Alamo. Utah, June 30th. Vermont, August 11th. Virginia, June 9th, also says you're not having one. I don't really believe this anymore, so I see how hard your politicians are going. Let's not even talk about Virginia. Virginia has supposedly like the biggest gun lobby, and yet your governor's like, hey, let's just kill babies on the table, which we're learning that you can save a baby at 21 weeks. Why isn't anybody adopting? I really want to know why no one's adopting anymore. What happened to the word adoption? All these people we hear they cannot adopt anyone. So they're adopting kids from Russia and Ukraine. What is going on? No one can get on the adoption list, but we have to abort the kid when we can save them at 21 weeks. I don't understand. Make some money on an adoption. Why? You're going to spend some money on an abortion when you can make some money on an adoption. What am I missing? You can go make some boolah cash off your kid, but no, I want to go abort it and spend $1,000. What did I miss? What happened to the feminists that are like, well, she could put something towards her college fund. Go adopt your kid out. What? I just don't understand this anymore. I mean, I understand it from stem cell research end, but really? Are feminists just stem cell junkies now? Do they really need their faces torn up that much? That they've I don't even know what to say. Washington State is August 4th. Sorry, I had all that to say. All right, so that is the end of that. And then for presidential elections, for presidential primaries, Alabama is March 3rd. Alaska is April 4th. That's one of the places they've canceled the Republican primary. So you need to look at, like I said, Alaska's corrupt as mama. Alaska's corrupt because it has all those minerals. You guys got to lift off those climate change and environmentalist restrictions. No one should be living in a tent in Alaska. No one should be there should be millionaires in Alaska. Do you remember the gold rush, how many millionaires that made? How many millionaires the gold rush made? And there's people living in tents in Alaska when it has jade and oil and I'm sorry, but Australia is the #1 exporter of opals. Why don't you look at, everyone goes on Australia now, so Australia's so beautiful. Is Australia did I miss something? Is Australia super, super dirty or something? It's the #1 mining exporting place in the world because it's under the Queen. It's one of the Commonwealths, right? So they export they mine the crap out of that place. They mine. Oh, I can imagine who they use for that. Who the Queen uses for her mining. But go to the United States, and what did the Queen do? Pay for all this stuff all the places that could compete with the Australian mines. Why don't you look up how many states have opals in the United States? If Australia can mine the heck out of it, and you can go to Australia, you know you're on Etsy buying opals. Australian opals. Why can you buy it in Australia and not American opals? Because Americans just might get paid instead of living in tents? Do you really require Americans to live in tents? Is this where we're at? I hate to tell you, but most of the people up in Alaska are Native Americans. Are you racist? Arizona, March 17th. Again, they removed the primary. Bit worrisome over who they don't want to have replaced in Arizona in the other primary. Arkansas, March 3rd, March 3rd. California, March 3rd. Colorado, March 3rd. Connecticut, April 28th. Delaware, April 28th. D.C., June 2nd. They get to vote in the presidential because they get to vote for president. Florida, March 17th. Georgia, how do they get to vote for president if they don't have a representative? All right. Georgia, I'm going to look into that. Georgia, March, because citizens, that makes sense. All right. Florida, March 17th. Georgia, March 24th. Hawaii, April 4th. Again, Hawaii ripped out their Republican. I'd love to know why that is. Is Hawaii massively Democrat? That's right. I found a ton of coffee. I'm starting to have coffee, right? Starting to have coffee because I'm stretching out into like what I'm able to have on my diet. Like I need new drinks, right? So I'm looking into Made in America coffee beans. And I'm like, oh, look at this. All this Made in America coffee beans. There's a ton of cheap Made in America coffee beans. And it's in Hawaii. And I'm like, I've been to Hawaii. Where's all the cheap, how can you make, $3 bags of coffee? And then I was like, Oprah, Oprah plantations, Oprah. Do you remember Oprah buying all that land in Hawaii and saying, well, God ain't making more of it? That's around the time she invested in the climate change initiative. That's really big in the Caribbean where all the sugarcane plantations are. Have you guys checked Oprah's land to see what she's making on it? To see if there are coffee bean plantations on it? I was like, oh my God. You tell me how you're able to make $3, $2 bags of coffee beans in America, how that's happening in Hawaii. Unless a private landowner owns private land and is privately making it, and they just happen to be part of the climate thing, and they have a plan. They're funding that plan to have $1.90 a day. I wonder if Oprah's hitting that $1.90 a day with her hired help that she probably has immigrants that she just brought over the border. Remember, they said, we've been told by everybody, we have rich people who just want to hire people from over the border. We might know what Oprah will be hiring them for. Because when I went over there, it was Dole Pineapple who had a big factory there. And they put up big cans and put it in the actual grocery. And those were not cheap pineapple. We got to actually walk the field and see where the pineapples were grown. I don't think you can do that for these coffee beans. So Georgia, March 24th primary. Hawaii, April 4th. No Republican primary. Idaho, March 10th. Illinois, March 17th. Indiana, May 5th. Iowa, February 3rd. Caucuses, both parties. Kansas, May 2nd. No Republican. Wow, Kansas. Undemocratic. Screw you. Kentucky, May 19th. Louisiana, April 4th. Maine, March 3rd. Maryland, April 28th. Massachusetts, March 3rd. Michigan, March 10th. Minnesota, March 3rd. Mississippi, March 10th. Missouri, March 10th. Montana, June 2nd. Nebraska, May 12th. Nevada, February 22nd. Nothing again in Nevada for the Republicans. I telling you, Nevada, people think it's so great over there. I'm like, nope. New Hampshire, February 11th. Where is New Hampshire over here? See, I'm thinking all these, yep, September 8th. Different. These states are so corrupt. They don't help you out voting. All the voting should be on one day, you guys. Not cool. New Jersey, June 2nd. New Mexico, June 2nd. New York, April 28th. North Carolina, March 3rd. North Dakota. Well, or at least it should be a primary. Like, look at this. New Hampshire's primary is September 8th. Well, when's the actual runoff? Like, it doesn't actually say when the runoff date is, actually. Primary date. Where's the runoff date? It just says September 8th. Well, when's the runoff? And then New Hampshire, February 11th primary. It's not telling you when the runoff date is. That's odd. I think it's the November It's the same day as the presidential. I think it's November 16th. So New Mexico, June 2nd. New Jersey's June 2nd. New Mexico, June 2nd. New York, April 28th. North Carolina, March 3rd. North Dakota, March 10th. I could have guessed a party run primary. Republican caucus just says January to March. I could have told you. I could have said it ahead of time. The North Dakota is so freaking corrupt up there. So funny to see like who was behind the Democrat and who was behind the Republican. It was like BASF was on one and Bayer was on the other. I was like, Ohio, March 17th. Oklahoma, March 3rd. Oregon, May 19th. Pennsylvania, April 28th. Rhode Island, April 28th. South Carolina, February 29th. South Carolina, no Republican primary. Hate you, Lindsey Graham. South Dakota, June 2nd. Tennessee, March 3rd. Texas, March 3rd. Utah, March 3rd. Vermont, March 3rd. Virginia, March 3rd. No Republican. Damn, what's going on in Virginia? No Republican primary. Dang, Virginia. You got the gun bill and you got the baby thing and then you got no Republican primary. Washington, March 10th. West Virginia, May 12th. Wisconsin, April 7th. And then Wyoming is April 4th. The caucus, and then Republican caucus just says February to March. That means they don't have a date set. That's really nice. Charming, charming, charming. Anyway, those are all the dates. Just that's what they have so far. There is another site. I don't know. That's what we've got so far. Please check because these things change. Please check. At least know they're coming. Know that it looks like everything's like March 3rd. Know that March 3rd is the big day. I don't remember if I saw anything earlier than March 3rd. So March 3rd, we're really, really building to March 3rd for everything. Be prepared that possibly they could be doing a primary on March 3rd, even if they're saying a primary for a state legislator on March 3rd, even though they're saying that's the presidential one on March 3rd. Start being prepared to vote Democrat or Republican. If they give you a cutoff for Republican and they think you can't do that, go vote another way. Go just get prepared to vote. Those are the dates. And let's be ready for primary 2020. I am not so concerned about the Democratic. I am just, to be honest, I don't know. Just remember that the president is one house. There's two others. They're all as important. It's a triangle. All three are as important. You know, it's all three as important. We did a good job with cleaning the GOP, but we need to finish it out. This is the year we need to finish it out. You can hear our contingent. They're in there. And they gained a lot of seats last year or whatever, but they were so sporadic. I was like, I couldn't even get in there. They were too sporadic and it's too corrupt. I was like, it wasn't worth it to go in there and try, and it was too, anyway, I was like, we're going to have to wait till this year and try and do something. So anyway, try and get the news out there for everybody and start doing what you got to do and, enjoy the Clean the GOP 2018. And yeah, sorry, I'm in a lot of pain. So I really hope you can forgive me for that. I'm like, that's it. I got to take stuff off. I'm like, I got to take things off. I'm really, really in a lot of pain. So, woo-wee. So if you guys could just vote for the Bill of Rights and uphold our freedoms. This is the year to do it, and be prepared. And look up here's the thing. The way you can find out for sure is to look up your county registrar. Go to your county registrar, make sure you're registered to vote, and then get from them when your dates are. That's your most successful source. They are the ones who only your county registrar is going to know. And don't necessarily look online. They make online very, very confusing now. It's better if you walk into your county registrar. Go ahead and you can do it online. You can vote online, everything like that. Like, you can get your information online. But I would highly, highly encourage you. If you have remember I said we all have goals this year. Like, my goals this year are I have like 3 goals this year. It's like the voting, it's the getting free of the bankers of the 1% royals. Like, I want to get rid of them. And number 3, I want to get more educated on the Bible the way that our founders were, because I see that I'm realizing how much Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, they just knew way more about it. I'm learning, like I just shared the other day on a thing I read. I was doing some other digging and I found up some other thing, and I was like, that would have helped me in my map search, just outlining the maps. I'm learning that the Bible is this like historical document that helps us understand history. They've changed so much of history online. And I'm like, dang it, like they knew so much more. And in order to protect our Constitution and our freedoms and to understand where they came from to help us fight, I feel like I have to keep digging in there. So I want to try and stay on that track and stay with it. And I haven't been doing a lot of Bible digs this year. I have done some, and I need to stick with that because every time I do, I can't believe how much I find and how much it explains to me about what's in DC and what they built and why, and it helps defend it, if that makes sense, because the people on the other side clearly know. That's what happens is I find out once I discover it, the people on the other side trying to destroy it, I'm like, that's why they've been attacking this. Oh, I don't understand that. Like I didn't get it. I'm like, that's why they've been attacking this, because they know it destroys the underlying freedom. And I'm like, I need to get studied up. Like I didn't understand. So I'm still going. And so there are 3 things, and one of them is voting. It's just like a big, big thing. Voting is so, so huge. So anyway, if you guys are looking for something to do, one of the things you can do for bravery, I know, is to try and wear your freedom on your outside. I know I'm going to try and get some t-shirts or something that says something about primaries or says something about freedom or has some quotes on it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Trump hat. I've noticed some people in my area suddenly wearing Trump hats, which is a shocker. I've never seen a Trump hat in my area ever. I was just like, but what was interesting is that everyone kind of treated them with respect, like you're kind of boss. And I was like, what's happening? So I think people take it better. You fear it so much. I think that, like I said, I don't think I could ever do that, but there are things that I do want to start wearing that say the way that I feel, because I'm always just kind of like, well, Trump is kind of like a name, but I don't know if people know what he symbolizes, like the things, like I want to write about religious persecution, like the first president for religious persecution or things like that. I don't know. I have ideas. Anyway. Obviously, I'm in pain because I'm just rambling. I love you so much. If you could donate down below, $1 a month would be super, super helpful. If you want to do more than that, it would be fantastic. So, and I love you guys so much, and I hope that you're doing well wherever you are at in your journey, and whoever you are, Democrat, Independent, or Republican, wherever you are, Independent, Libertarian, wherever you are. I would really encourage you to vote smart, use your vote. Your vote is the one day of the year that you are more powerful than the 1% and the royals. That's the one time I've been watching GIFs of Queen Elizabeth. And when she goes down the line and shakes hands with people on the red carpet, if they don't immediately bow, she yanks them into a bow. And it really wakes you up to how lucky we are to have the vote. Because that's what we fought a war to get away from, was people who yank you into, the person shaking their hand and they bring in their elbow to shake the hand, and then you see their elbow jig forward and they're jerked into a bow by Queen Elizabeth, by her mother. You see the way they look at people. We are a lower class to them when we're not created equal. We're actually way more free than they are. That's the nice thing. Like, they didn't get to be whoever they wanted to be. They had to be. They had to live in a box. So they actually, in a lot of ways, have it less than us. They have a lesser life. Love you guys. Peace out.